Good afternoon to all. So I take this opportunity to welcome Dr. T.K. Bagara, the director IAVR Varanasi. He is an eminent scientist, particularly in the field of vegetable breeding. So we wholeheartedly welcome you, sir, on behalf of TNU Tamil Nadu Agriculture University and the Dean SPGS, Dr. Sendil, and the Dean Horticulture College in charge, Dr. Venkatesan here. So on behalf of TNAU and the student of TNAU and the entire campus of our university, we cordially welcome you, sir. First of all, I deeply acknowledged for your presence. So because our India has privilege with the vegetable production. So as per our statistic is concerned, we are second in position in production as well as consumer point of view. So your contribution in the breeding in vegetables definitely. So for increasing in the vegetable area for the tune of good position in our country. So in this regard, I cordially invite Bagra once again. So let I take this opportunity to introduce the chief guest of speaker, Director Ayavira Varanasi. Earlier, he completed his PhD in ARI New Delhi, followed postdoctoral fellowship in the University of Wisconsin, USA. So, sir, our university is top grade in vegetable sciences as well as horticultural crops, both the scientific intervention and the technical fraternity is being. So, in this sense, we equally part that's outstanding scientist in vegetable crops in various capacities in India with respect to TK Bagra. Then Bagara is released so far 27 vegetable varieties in horticultural crops. He guided more than 12 PhDs and 20 MSc students. Then ultimately, Doctor is a chairman as a vice committee and a subcommittee of syllabus setting in post-harvest dairy and curriculum in horticulture in the country of Myanmar and the University of Afghanistan. Then his capacity may be derived for horticulture, the Board of Management for past 5 years in OSR Palmer University of Horticultural University. And then he is a man behind the release of so many books in ISB and international and national level things. Then he published more than 125 peer-reviewed journals, both international and national. Then he visited 7 countries: USA, Australia, France, Australia, Thailand, and other countries, even Libya. Then I very importantly note the point that he served as a FAO consultant for vegetable breeding with respect to the country of Libya. So your contribution for the discipline of horticulture is well accounted, sir. Then another important thing is he got more than 17 awards in the international and national level. So you are the more packed with all qualities and capacities with respect to horticulture. Then finally is a editor. So editor is very important in horticulture sense because their single science have more than 150 journals, both reputedly more than 6 NOS rated as well as above 5 NOS rated. So his part in editing the agricultural and horticultural subject is very immensely we appreciated, sir. So on behalf of TNAU, once again I welcome and I complete without acknowledge your introductory, it may not be fulfilled. So in this sense, once again, I welcome you, sir, on behalf of TNIU scientists and the entire faculty fraternities and the students. Thank you very much for given opportunity. Thank you very much.
So good afternoon to everyone here. The participants both online and the offline here in the PG Defense Hall. Respected Dean Periyakulam Dr. Rajangam. Today Dr. Venkatesan, Dean in charge, Coimbatore Horticulture College. And most importantly, the today's speaker, Dr. T.K. Behra, Director, Indian Institute of Vegetable Research, Varanasi. So this is, sir, for your information, this is the endowment lecture, which Tamil Nadu Agriculture University is continuously organizing. It is, you are the 24th speaker. So this lecture, we have most of the eminent speaker, which they delivered the lecture, including the vice chancellors, director NAM and director Food Policy Research Institute, ISRI, and also many scientists from Taiwan, Columbia, CIMMYT, IRRI, and many international institutes, and also the national institutes, many of the speakers who delivered this lecture. So Tamil Nadu Agriculture University immensely proud to have you as one of the speaker today, because the horticultural science, especially in the vegetable area, your contribution is very much appreciated all over the world. And also, sir, this endowment lecture been watched by the more than 32. We have master program, 18 PhD program. I have 19 constituent colleges and 38 research stations and KVK, all been connected by online for this many of our lectures. So it is many of the TNAU scientists are got benefited from these lectures. So I'm really happy that you are here with us. Again, a known horticulture scientist, vegetable breeder, and the been graduated in IRI and been postdoc in Wisconsin. And also your work on the cucumber gynoecious flowers development, gynoecious inbred line development, and also some of the QTL mapping in bitter gourd, and many of the complex species like cucumis, where the cucumis mellow or cucumis sativus, many of the species you do interspecific hybridization. These are all the area really which is a challenging area for the people in horticulture. So you are touched those areas and give many of the high rated publications. So definitely, sir, the students of Tamil Nadu Agriculture University, especially the horticulturists, will be benefited from your lecture. And we are really happy to have you here, sir, today evening as one of the speaker. I welcome you for this today evening session. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you for the kind words. I really have no words to say. Thank you to all of you. I must say thank you because to the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. V. Geeta Lakshmi, for selecting or just giving me the opportunity to interact with all the stakeholders of horticulture, particularly as an endowment lecture. So I think it is really thankful to you. And also I thankful to Dr. Senthil and then Dr. Rajungam, Dr. Muthiasaf, and all the professors, head of the divisions, principal of the different dean and directors of the different institution, or also my professor from the different discipline in the horticulture as a whole. So this is a very important thing that we are now going to have a lot of improvement in this food and nutritional security of the country. As you know, we now surpass the horticulture, now surpass the production of the all other production in the country, particularly for the food grains and other things, because already we have achieved about 342 million tons of horticulture production, out of which about 214 million tons are vegetable, as you say. So in that case, how we are jumping to the production system, particularly the productivity, because our land is sinking, we are having the more productivity in the vegetables. We have to do also more to catch the top in the positions in the vegetable productions in the world. So I'll go there some of the areas where we have a sustainable food and system nutritional security already we achieved. We have many varieties, many technologies are now in the farmers program, which is now done by the extension scientists. So the vegetable research, the teaching, and the extension program throughout the country is very, very important to make to have a goal in the sustainable food and nutritional security. As you know, we have sustainable goal for the nutritional security is concerned. Definitely, this horticulture plays a major role in this nutritional security of this country is concerned and the world is concerned. I'll go for very, very important things is the vegetables, how it is a protective food. It is a source of the micronutrients, as you know. It also has a very good potentiality to produce some of the secondary metabolites, which are preventive role for the health elements, which is very important for us. We know the pharmaceutical values, we know the things or the ingredients or the chemicals which is present in the vegetables is really important for the health, to just counter the health problems. As you know that WHO said minimal we have to take about 400 grams of vegetables or fruits, and out of which 300 grams. Now this is changing to the our system that at least 350 grams should be vegetable. And now it has been changed to 500 gram, as it is always 400 gram. And we have to take in every aspect of vegetables 5 a day. That means when you take a meal, definitely you should have a vegetable in your plate, which is very, very important. And it is mentioned in the by Eat Lancet report in 2019 that half of your plate is should be, you can see in the figure in the left hand side, half of your plate should be fruits and vegetables in your daily diet. So it's very important because this not only give you a nutrition, it also just contribute to the microbial species human gut, which is really important for our consumptions, for digestions, and every sort of human health. It is very, very required. Now we can say that carotenoids, we have vegetables which having more carotenoids, we have phenolics, we have folic acids and dietary fiber, which is very, very important for the programs or for the health benefits in this concern. So these are said to be really, it is a productive food for human health is considered. Now, the thing is that previously what we are thinking about this vegetable, we are thinking about only the green vegetable. But now you have a diaspora of different color vegetables are coming out, particularly the purple, this beetroot, cabbage, eggplant, red you have, orange, yellow you have carrot, pumpkin and other things. Also the brown or white and the combinations of the green. So these all things contribute, some of them are antioxidants, some of them also anti-cancerous, some also keep the eyes healthy, some are very, very important, particularly for different antiviral and antibacterial properties. So as you know, this vegetable has a lot of contributions to the human health and the nutrition. Now we have to also think of this thing, how we can have a more and more richer with this respect to the nutrient, with respect to the nutraceuticals, with respect to the pharmaceuticals, which is very important nowadays when we go for vegetable productions is concerned. Now, coming to this productivity, as I mentioned, we already achieved a very good score in the production system, where the total production is about 214 million tons till today. And we are also having a jumping in the production from 1950 to in 2020, 21, 22, about 3.7 folds, 11 folds in the production, and productivity about 3.1 folds, which is really a tremendous achievement by all these scientists, the farmers, the students, the extension specialists of this country. And we must salute all of them, particularly for this one. But the only thing is that what we achieved, he is a very good things I put it here. As you are a developing nation, and the China is also competing with the vegetable production system is concerned. But if you see the pattern of consumption pattern, you can see that we are very, very low in the consumptions of vegetable. Just if you see in the China, in cabbage, in cauliflower, in chili, in cucumber, every respect you can see in the graph, where you can see the Chinese, how they are getting the per capita vegetable consumption per annum, which is significantly very, very high compared to the in India. Here I point to all the students here. Now, if you say the students, they can go for the other foods, but they are very much of limited to the vegetable as a food system. We must see that we have to also have the vegetable in our diet, which is very, very important for the benefit of your health. So this is the things what we have, but I think definitely we should also go based on this consumption pattern, and also we have to improve. We have to go for awareness program, particularly for the consumption vegetable, because nowadays what I find, very only maybe about 10 or 20% people are going or taking vegetables. We should have in our plates at least 50%. of the type in the vegetable or fruits, which definitely improves the things. So that should be awareness program. If you see that Indian position, you can see okra we are the top, but many of the vegetables we are second. We are also in many of the vegetables also in the very production side point of view very less. But except okra, you can see 60% of this total world productions we are contributing this one. Cauliflower, broccoli about 37.4, around 40%. But if you see our own crops like cucumber, gherkins, or you have a brinjal, we are very much less compared to the other countries, and that's why we need to have improved the productivity and productions in this particular crop to catch the global trend of commercial need. So which is very important, and we have to think of these things, how we can have a major share in the vegetable in the global production. If you see the productivity is concerned, if you have tomato, we are having the productivity very low. In eggplant also low. If you see the world average, also you can see the melons, cucumbers, watermelon, cabbage, and brassicas. Definitely, we are very less, except in okra and peas and cauliflower, broccoli, where we have some of the things where we are getting good in the average productions in this country is concerned. If you see the maximum productivity, you can see how much we are have a gap in the productivity level, in particular with respect to vegetable concern. We have a very good potential, but definitely we have to think of what are the potential areas we have to go for improving the productivity level of these particular vegetables. So the way past, we are just going for developing the varieties having the high yield traits, or the whether it vegetables, whether the fruits, whether any horticulture crops, we were thinking about that. We have to improve the production, but now the production change, production level change, production consumers preferences change. You have to also have a different things are coming. As you know that the end user is very important. They have to have a farmers where we have to go for yield, quality, and that those are suitable for market, and also stress tolerance. You should have a off-season varieties. But the industry is totally different. They need to have they need a different segments of the vegetables. The seed industry, what you need? They need the economized seed productions. How you can economize the seed productions? Whether you have any genetical systems, whether it's a self-incompatibility, whether it is male sterility, whether it's gynocism. So these are very important, because if you see the hybrid seed production program, where we have a maximum amount of means your cost is going for developing hybrids or going for pollinations of this one. The labor cost is very high. So if you have this genetical system where you can have minimize the cost of production of the hybrid seeds, definitely the farmers will also get in the lower price. Next is the food and processing industry. Now we are not talking about this, because many of the cases we are going to talk of the yield. Sometimes we are very glut in the market. So what will do? What is the future course of action? So now government of India now putting us a pressure that you have to go for some of the vegetable for processing and value addition. So must we have to revert back to industry what they need, particularly for the processing on the vegetable production is concerned. Pharmaceutical values or industry is again important. Some of the vegetables where you have carotenoids, where you have anthocyanins, we have luteins, you have xanthophylls. These vegetables you have to take care, particularly for the pharmaceutical industry, and definitely I think that also we have our own breeding objectives. We have our own agronomic trials where we have to improve the nutrition as well as the nutraceutical values of these particular vegetables. The consumers is very important, because they prefer to have a quality traits or quality vegetables along with the minimum cost, because they don't want to give a much more money or spend more money for the vegetables is concerned. Definitely we have to also cost of productions we have to minimize. So these are the things where we have to have a change in our system for developing or for going for the vegetable improvement program is concerned. We must have the product developed. We must have to driven the breeding should be also market driven. So not that the choice of the breeder now is not there. You have to take the choice of the consumers, go for the industry, and you have to see that how much the way, or what is the way to succeed in a program to develop your varieties which can have a very as good acceptability in the market. You have the varieties for the in the way that it should not, it should restrict the wrong and poor product development. You have a breeder who can also have a better choice, also with the agronomically improved varieties, which have to restrict the wrong and poor product development. Second thing is that the hybrids and varieties should perform in actual of different environment. That means they have a good adaptability to the different environment condition, which is very important. And there is a success when you have a direct link to the customers like distributors, dealers, and the farmers before going for productions of the, or going for breeding of the vegetables, which is very important. Again, another important is you have to design in such a way the breeder should design such a way the program, it should replace the established varieties of the market, which we are talking about the rate of replacement of varieties. Rate of replacement is very low in vegetables, which we accept hybrids, which is very required for our own means improvement program. Here is a very good example. Here you can see the designing of the experiment, designing of the breeding trial. You have a cross-functional team where you have a team where you can get the inputs from the client or what you get the consumers. You have to have a product development programs, or we have a breeders which have having knowledge, experience. Also, you need to have a germplasms. They can think of this one, and in the background, they have a development program which is here a breeder to technical breeding team in consultations with your other marketing people. They make a product profile development, and in that case you have to take the funds from your different sectors and go for product development. So these are the blueprint for the product of the product profile, where we have to think of the new challenges or the next generation breeding program in the vegetables. You must think of the product profile when you go for fruit yield, the tolerance to the disease and pest, tolerance to the abiotic stresses, which is very important. So these things really in the course of product profile, it is very important for all of us. Now coming in the example in case of market mapping or value segment, what to do? If you have a tomato, particularly for the Rabi season, or in the month of from the November to February, March, it is okay. We have a glut of in the market. But do we have the variety for the summer crop? Do we have a variety for the Kharif crop? Do we have the variety for the late Kharif crop? So these are the things we have to think of, because very new hybrids are also coming nowadays to having summer. We have Kharif, also Rabi crop, but definitely we must have a very good breeding objectives to be clear to for a particular season where there is a very less productions of the market. So these things we have to go for the product development is concerned. If you see the vegetable industry or the Indian seed sector, definitely some of the private companies really they are doing very well. But if you say the Indian seed sector, I can say about 70% of our own seed market, it is totally a what we can say not a regular marketing system. Only 30% which are regular market, from where the we have a contributions from the both private and the public sectors, including the NAR system, that is the state agriculture universities, the institute of this ICR, also the private people. Only 30% we are contributing the seed production chain of this country. Other than that, 70% of the things or the seeds which is contributed in the irregular way, or that has not been reported in our anywhere in this system, particularly when you go for vegetable system is concerned. The impact growth of this Indian seed sector, I can say we are still, as you mentioned, we are still importing the seeds. We are importing the seeds of tomato, cabbage, carrot, cauliflower. Still today we are importing. We are but we also have now a contributions in the export, and that export should also be taken care, particularly for the seed export market, which is very important by the both public and private sectors, as well as the all SAUs, state agriculture universities, and ICAR Institute must address that what type of seeds we have to stop them from the importing. We have to, at least we can go for more vegetables for export seeds on this particular concern. So this is the things I am putting down, these things I am putting here. All of you must listen this one very carefully, that what way we have to plan our program so that we can reduce the import of seeds, and but you can increase the export of the seeds. This is very important. If you can say that the yield gains in the vegetable is concerned, definitely there is a productivity is very much a going way, but still the area is also increasing in many of the crops like tomato, okra, and cauliflower. Because we have a very less productivity level, which we have to definitely improve. With a very limited resources, limited area, we can have to contribute more in the vegetable production is concerned. As you know that we are already in the best way for the total germplasm, that is their way of our ECRIP trial is going on throughout these SAUs. We have developed many varieties. We have notified many varieties around, as you can say, we have developed around many of the varieties with respect to 347 varieties we have been identified as OP varieties, 181 F1 hybrids, 59 resistant varieties, and in case of your production technology and protectant technology, we have developed many more. But how much in the field? We have to now think of how much of these F1 hybrids, how many of these varieties are in the market or in the farmers, so that we have to take into consideration. But at least we have many of these public sector varieties are in the market, and also our institute, as you consider that some of these varieties which we are licensing to the farmers, we are licensing to the private companies, and that they take it in the licensing and royalty. They are also giving to the institute. So every breeders, every horticulturist, every horticulture plant breeder must also go for things that how we can commercialize your varieties and get some money or profit, which can be recycled back for our research program, which is a very good programs. Now we are initiated in the with the SMD or ICR. We are now going to have a true public-private partnership, which ought to be built up in the future strategies concerned. If you see this, I mentioned about the germplasm, which is very important. As the student says, the many of the germplasms we have in different crops. And I am just as noting here, last year we have also given about 5,000 germplasms, around 5,000 germplasm to our students to go for the research in the different state agriculture university. But I am only just having the request that when they go for taking the materials from us, at least they should bring back the report. How is the contributions of your materials? How much it is good for your particular area? So that also we have to see it, so that we can also value our products, we are value our germplasms, which what we have now in our program. I just mentioned about the varieties. As you mentioned, about 587 varieties has been developed in the last 5 decades, in about 150 varieties in the last 3 decades. Every decade we have about 153, 150 varieties we developed, and it's also released and notified. So if you say about these ICR SAUs and their contributions is tremendous, I think we have to also build our more collaborations by which we can develop these varieties and other things. If you see these contributions of the SAUs and the ICR institutes, I just ranked them that how much you are contributing the productions to the ECRIP system is concerned. The private organizations also very important way, they are also going to production the hybrids, which is also very important for our breeding strategy is concerned. Now coming to some of the examples of the high yielding varieties I can mention here. We have a lamb in case of lamb 60, LCS 620, which is very good resistance to the different diseases, particularly developed by the Lamb Institute. Also, we have in Nirmal seeds, they have a very good variety, which is also having good range, good yield point of view. In cauliflower, in some the case where we have early cauliflower developed by the IRA, also is very good premium one. Early maturity is very important, as you mentioned, some of the traits, like in case of mutter, that is a garden pea, definitely we have a good varieties which can go for sowing in the last week of October to second week of November, and the yield is very high. And in case of in case of brinjal, also the long save, we have a different segments. I don't know, maybe in case of our South Indian conditions, we have a different type of vegetable or different type of color of which brinjal is required. I think they have a very good variety also by TNU, which can also be taken up as a seed production point of view. Seed is very important. We develop many varieties. We develop many hybrids, but how much the seeds we are produced, how much you are giving the seeds to. So my request again to all these sectors who are working in this particular aspect, they should go for seed just giving to the portal system. Any problem, please? No. Seed portal system, which is very, very important for all these state agriculture universities, and by which they can also just sell their seeds to the different people. Resistant varieties as important as is case of nowadays, because now we have a climate change. We must have a biotic and abiotic stress tolerant varieties. If you say the Arka Aditya, we have VRO in the Vindi, that is in okra, which resistance to both and LCV. Also, we have a brinjal, which is resistance to the bacterial weed. These I just given as very, very few example, but we have a lot of varieties which are also resistant and trial. The important thing is that again we have to go for way of doing the developing varieties in the very quick method. We are now giving example in case of pyramiding of the genes. In case of tomato, we have the number of genes like TOI1 to TOI5 and TOI6. These genes can also be stacked in a particular way that in the tomato is concerned. We have an example in case of Arka Samrat, Arka Rakshak. We have also example in case of Kasi Aman and Kasi Abhiman, where you have different gene combinations which can be pyramided in a single your commercial varieties, which is a very, very limited period. This is also done by that way. Many of the varieties are coming up nowadays having resistance to this particular 2LCB and other viruses concerned, and also bacterial wilt and bacterial wilt and early blight and left blight and tomato leaf curl viruses. So these are the gene pyramiding already done, and many of these people are also using this one. So this, as you mentioned about some of the achievements, but I can say in the production system also is very important, because productions also the system, particularly agronomic practices, the production practices is very important. We have a very good technology that has already been developed, but we have to see that what way, and particularly for the high-tech nursery development. I think many of the state agriculture university, they're going for the nursery production system to give the quality planting material vegetables to the different farmers, and based on they have a very good high-tech nursery system which was established, particularly for giving this one pro-trade nurseries there. Drip irrigations, already it is a long back, the people have about 30 years, the people are using the drip irrigation system in vegetable. Now a newer system is coming up, newer method is coming up, particularly for in the irrigation system, which we have to use, particularly to save the fertilizer, to increase the yield, to go for water saving, and also improve the production quality, which is, and also there is less infestations of the disease and pest, which is very important in case of irrigation system. Furrow irrigated systems, the raised planting method, sometimes the people have a huge amount of water they're wasting, but at least we can also have a furrow irrigated raised methods. Also, we can go for mulching with the furrow irrigated system, where you can also contribute about 45 to 50% of 45% of your water saving, and the yield can be increased out to 55%. So these are the very, very important things. I think these are most of the things already practiced by the farmers for the high-tech productions of the vegetables concerned. The micro fertigation system again is very, very important, and the partial root zone irrigations. Many of the things are already researched, already we've done it, but only thing is that very few of them are in the market, on the field, or in the farmer's field. So that type of extension programs to be created. The infrastructure development is the state policy or state way up to giving to the infrastructure development. I think if we have support with the research system and the production development or the development programs in the state university state, I think we can carry out this type of methods to facilitate our productions in the vegetable program. Mulching, as you know, we have a different mulching time. We have organic mulching, we have plastic mulching, and a lot of research has been done. Many of the research, when I see in the thesis work and the different PG school, MSc and PhD student, I can see many of these programs is still containing just a mulching and higher mulching with respect to they compare the plastic mulch with the organic mulch. But many of the things we have to, again, how much this water is required, how much the water is taken up by the plant. That also type of basic type of research is really required, and the quality of the water, how much it is having influence to the quality productions of the vegetables. So that sort of research should be come up. It is not that only go for mulching or the plastic mulch and the straw mulch or the organic mulch. How is the difference? These differences already exist. So now you have to have some basic research with respect to this type of treatments, where you definitely have a very, very good of explanations of this particular mulching system is concerned. Integrated nutrient management is again important. As you know, in vegetables, in other crops, it's been done, but I think there should be a very good programs in the integrated program system, integrated nutrient management system. We have to see the nutrient dynamics, which is very important. The amendments of the soil, the micronutrients availability with respect to the pH level, the fertilizers recommendations, what based on the soil test. So these are the balanced use of the nutrients. We are talking of so much of balanced use of the nutrients, but whether in the farmer's field, whether we are doing the same things or not, this is a question. Now, this type of things, again, our own young students are there. They must feel that which are the things we have to take into consideration when you go for researching, when you go for extension work, what type of things we have to think of, and that is very, very important for all of us. Coming to the example of a simple example, I say this simple staking. The staking in tomato can give out to 70 to 75 tons per hectare, and also best quality fruits. But if a non-staked, it hardly gives out 45 to 50 tons per hectare. That means what you can say, about 50% of reductions in the production system are in the staking and non-staking type. That means by simple giving a agronomic practice, which is very, very important for us, have a yield about one or double the yield we can get it from a particular crop, which is where these are the small example. Again, I feel that giving very good example in case of growing of cocoa beans in the high density planting, in the Bauer system of planting, you have very good quality fruits, you can get it. If you see the field view in case of bottle gourd, if you see that the bottle gourd fruits in the field, they become very much of what you can say, the rotten, the size of the fruits are not good, and they're touched to this soil, so they have a different color. So these type of things, if you have, you can buy a system, you can have a 37.14 per hectare, or in the field, if you grow the bottle gourd, you have 23 to 25 tons per hectare. So these are the small things, but it is really, it gives a boost, particularly for the yield point of view. Just example in the case that how we can use the input resources, how best you can use. Is example in case of tomato, is in case of brimato, the single plants. You can have a single plants in potato, and the tomato you can have about 1 to 1.25 kg of your potato. But in case of tomato, again in the same plant you can have about 3.5 to 5 kg of plant. Similarly, in case of roots, in case of brinjal and tomato, definitely this is brimato. What I mean to say here is a single plant with an input to the same kind of area, how much your productions can be done. Again, as I know that many of these crops is particularly in case of this type of crops is a fancy crops where the people now started the business. You have to go for the urban horticulture, urban agriculture, where these plants are very, very important. Second thing, as I found it here, if you have potato generally, if a single plant or in the field itself, it gives only 500 to 700 your potato per plant. But if you go for this tomato, you have both cases about 1 to 1.25 kg of potato. And if you have you are grafting the indeterminate tomato in the potato, there is a much of means crop duration is increased, and the potato production is also increased along with this tomato production, which is bonus to the farmers. So these type of things we have to also analyze, so that it is very, very important for all of us. What is the importance of this mixing of the plant or the grafting of the plants with respect to this particular yield is concerned. Now we are also having good research in this particular aspect. Health plant management, which is very, very, plant health management is also very, very important. As you know, now we have to go for biointensive management, we have to go for organic management, we have also go for natural farming, what you can say. Also, we have a different surveillance system for the different insect pests. As you mentioned of the tuta, we are mentioning of the black thrips. So these are the things what we have to go for studying much more, and definitely we have to very much clear, so that this plant health management system can be well established in case of vegetables. Integrated pest management technologies, I mentioned, in the active we have over 140, and different crops we have a different management system. We have a disease management system over 200. Already we just established with the public and private partnership. But again, we have to have a few of these things, what we have to generalize, that why we have to go for this one. We have to also see the new molecules for easy and effective post-harvest management. We have to identify the vegetable genotypes amenable to the processing. We have to also see that the chemical pesticides to go for the proper leveling, because many of these the things of pesticides which is not required for the vegetables, we are spraying indiscriminately. So that type of things, again, we have to go for developing the IPM technology. Again, I missed that we have to also take up care of these different processing purposes, that is processing and value additions, where I know in the drumstick, TNU has a lot of products has been developed. TNU also have a good programs with the private public partnership going for this moringa. And then I have in this one day I have seen in the curriculum itself there were 65 products developed by the private industry, particularly from the drumstick. And I think these are the pioneer things. Some of the university should be leveled with this type of technology, with this type of crop. I don't think we have to go for much more of vegetables crop in any of this station. At least 5 or 10 vegetables where we are putting so much of importance. I think that will be very important for all of us. As I mentioned, these are some of the things where we are going to go for nanotechnological way of intervention. The nanotechnology for foliar applications, which is found that to be go for increasing chlorophyll, increasing the vigor, the different water uptake, hydrogen activity, electrical conductivity again decrease. So these are some of the things what we have. The research is still going on, but I think more and more research go for sheet priming with the nanomaterials, and also we can alleviate the you can see the red toxicity in case of bacilla, lead toxicity in case of bacilla. So these things again is very important, particularly for nanotechnological intervention. I think I have also visited this the Center of Excellence of Nanotechnology in TNU. They have very good programs in the different other crops, but vegetables they have taken newly. I've seen that one. But I think we also have to have the collaborations with this type of the centers where totally they are devoting for a particular technological development. I think nanotechnology is also very important, particularly for the seed priming. It's very important where we can have to have collaborations with them. There's a lot of gaps: the low productivity, sinking resources, inadequate and delayed availability of the planting material, post-harvest technology, lack of climate resilience technology, use of modern biotechnological approaches, real-time production information system, and plant health management and biosecurity, which is very important. And these are the gaps in the vegetable productions today's world. Today's country, we have a facing a lot of challenges, and a lot of gaps are also there. Because of these challenges, I think that we have to taken care of. I think we must now think of some future strategy. I think we will what way we have to proceed, which is very important, particularly for vegetable. We have to go for next generation breeding program. To accelerate our vegetable breeding program, we have to conserve the UN utilizations of the PGR. As very importantly say, only 5 to 6% of our genetic materials, which is in the NBPGR we are using. We are not utilizing our materials. Even if we are utilizing, we are not properly characterizing them. We are not properly screening them. We don't have a procedure. We don't have an infrastructure for just go for this PGR management, which is very important for vegetable. The rapid regeneration system and advancement, which is very important. Productions of double haploids, which is very required for the vegetable point of view, where there's a long period of your seed to seed method, where you have to go for DH system, genomic selections and marker selections, which are new technologies are coming like that of your genome editing or gene editing, which is also very important for us. Exploring this untapped genetic materials, as I mentioned, only 5 to 10% we are using our genetic material. Still, many of these genetic problems are still lying in our NPBGR, which can also be used particularly for our study, which have to go for multiple location phenotyping properly, discovery of haplotypes, alleles and the new varieties, and target traits, which is very important. Genetic resources to be wild species also very important. We have very good wild species, particularly for the pre-breeding, which is utmost important, where we have a very good programs to be developed, particularly for the pre-breeding in vegetables, which requires a lot of time. But we can absolutely shorten the time by the different biotechnological tools, which is also required for the crop improvement and developing the cultivars. So these are the just of the say how to explore the PGR system or genetic system or genetic resources is concerned. Now coming to this double haploid, as important is very important is this one. We have to haploids, you have to go for double haploids, particularly on the case of onion and case of carrot. We must to have to breed the double haploids to get it the inbreds very quickly. Also, there is low inbreeding depressions, while the high inbreeding depression is there. Definitely, we have to go for these double haploid techniques, which is there are a lot of advantage. It can also enhance the short period of time. This also creates the genetic variations in the haploid level, and then you can also have a evolutionary and psychological studies, which is in case of when you go for double haploids way. Also, you can analyze the quantitative traits, the QTL mapping, functional genomics, and gene identification, which is very, very important when you go for double haploids. You can also work for tealing, also have a transfer in the sterile cytoplasm, which is very, very important with respect to double haploid is concerned, self-incompatibility, and where there is inbreeding depressions, which is very, very important for double haploids, particularly in case of onion. Onion, they, if you see in the China, 80-90% they produce the onion from this double haploid technology. But if you see in India, it's very, very rare, very, very rare. And that also you consider. Carrot, we have not started. We have started very, very few, but at least we can have also there in the program of the double haploid. It is not that in all the programs, all the breeding system to be taken up in every crops. You have to think of which are the crops suited for what type of methods, which is very, very important in our breeding programs should be taken care. Pan-genomic studies is very important. As you know, we have already sequenced in vegetable, particularly cucumber in 2009. Then we have also developed the genome sequencing in the worldwide. A lot of genome sequencing crops have been evolved with respect to the different crops. Again, these things is very, very important to go for. Just identify the reservoir of additional genes. Also, it has a potential to select them for the further breeding program. And in case of pan-genomic studies has been done with respect to different species, particularly Solanum nicopersicum, tuberosum, capsicum, anum, and rapinus. We also started here some of the work, and also when I was in IRA, I started the work on the Momotica species, both the Momotica charantia and Momotica balsamina, and we have also comparative genome studies with respect to this one. As you know that Momotica balsamina is resistant to the nematode, also resistant to some of the drought condition. So we have also mapped some of the genes with respect to these drought conditions, and also the other methods like tomato, and also some of the genes also have been exploited in balsamina, which can also be introgressed to the Momotica charantia. My point is that you have to also study these genomic resources, which can also be utilized for the breeding program of the related species, which is very important. As you know, the genomic assisted breeding nowadays coming up very long way. Now people are thinking of genome, germplasm, genes, genomic breeding, and gene editing. Now these are the tools where we have to start. We have to initiate the work by which the work can be accelerated, particularly for the very vegetable improvement program. In this program, we already started some of the gene editing work. And as I mentioned, in case of okra, we started here at IIF here. In case of YVM resistance, to go for the new source of resistance, or to have this allelic, this nucleotide sequence change, where you can have a different resistance capacity to be built up, inbuilt capacity can be built up in the host itself. So that we have started. We have so started for the tomato, particularly for the tomato leaf called new leaf viruses. Again, also we started with some of the genes, particularly GABA genes, which is also responsible for particularly vitamin D, and then also vitamin A. And also we have the processing trait is concerned. We started some of the gene construct with respect to this particular trait is concerned. Tomato already we have done this one. Now we are getting in the future, at least 1 or 2 years, we can get some genome edited crops in this particular. Even if the people have tried in different way in the different other countries. So this trait you have to go for new traits to see that which are the traits we have to go for immediately, particularly for genome editing, not casting all the cases. Modeling optimizations of the idiotypes is very important. Then also, as you mentioned, this sometimes we have to go for SNPs or GBS system, the genotyping by sequencing. Now mutations by sequencing also is coming up, and then QTL mapping, fine mapping, this RNA sequence proteomes, and also we are now creating some of the research data with respect to metabolomics. We studied that metabolomic study, the gene functions, the protein functions, as well as also we have started with the some of the here in our laboratory, the metabolomics. That is very important, because the resistance in the case of early blight in tomato in some of the wild species is there. Why it is happening? What are the proteins are responsible for that? So one, you have to go for metabolite study, and then you can find out the gene sound, how these, which are the proteins are responsible for the genes. So you have to go for reverse breeding method, which by which both proteomics, metabolomics, and the genomics can be utilized to develop the new lines and the varieties. These are the things what you can see here in case of tomato. You have a tremendous potential for the genome editing. You have for biotic stresses, you have for vegetative system, meristem, roots, flowers, ovary, fruits, and ripe fruits. You all the genes are already characterized. Many of the genes are characterized. So whether you can have some of the target traits where you can go for genome editing. So these are gene editing, which is very important. Just simply go for genome editing. Definitely we can have the variations in that particular system of the plants, and we can have a newer plant site to develop with a different traits. This is a very good example where it is published in the Frontier Science. You can see the CRISPR-Cas gene editing is a very important, particularly for the tomato size of the fruits, the TSS content, the fruit color, and these are also edited in this particular tomato is concerned. I think a lot of research to be initiated in India itself for this gene editing, and we can definitely do in this way. So definitely that is very important for speed breeding in vegetables. We have a different climatic conditions required for different vegetables, light condition, photoperiod, which have to also go for developing the different or shortening the generation system, or the F1, F2, and F3, by which you can also shut down or cut down the generation system, which is very important by the speed breeding program. We have to reduce the generation time. Also, we have to go for backcrossing and pyramiding of the traits very easily. So I think in case of our many of these laboratory, if you see the CRISHAT, they have this program of speed breeding where you can collaborate. It's not that all the people should work for this speed breeding, but they can collaborate with some of the institution. In Erie, in Varanasi, also they have a speed breeding laboratory facility where you can also take up some of the materials, particularly for the speed breeding. So these are the small things, but at least we have to work on this particular aspect. The phenomic tools like genetic gains, not only this genetic gain is by the phenomic tools, particularly the system where we have AI-based phenotypic system is there. The imaging process system is there. We can go for phenomics facilities in different good laboratory, particularly in IRA. You have phenomics laboratory tool which can be utilized for our breeding program, and we can also just correlate or associate with this phenomic breeding with that of the genomic breeding. I think a lot of improvement can also be done in the vegetable. We have also sustainable vegetable production system where we have nanomaterials, as I mentioned. Some of the cases we have to go for improvement, the nutrition, protections, and regulations. In all these systems, definitely the nano fertilizers or nano methods is very important. And nano pesticides, nano fertilizers, these are very important, which can also have a smart monitoring system of the plant and the environment, which can also be manipulated through the nanoparticles. So these are the things what we have to initiate. Many of the laboratory now, the work has also been done in case of TNU. I think we also have to collaborate with other universities for this particular aspect, protected cultivations. Already, as you mentioned, but I don't think, Dean Saab, how much time we have, or I have to just go for this one. Excuse me, Dr. Rajamgam.
So take your own time, sir.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so what I think that some of the work already been initiated in different laboratory, particularly for protected cultivation, that the tomato which can be grown in case of your potato cultivation, the capsicum, the cucumber, and muskmelon. Definitely, they have a very good higher yield compared to that which is grown in case of your in the field condition. So these things, but it's not that in all the crops we should go for. All the areas where we have only the system can survive, the protected structure can have a better utility, there you have to go for protected cultivations. Not in all the cases we can go for protected cultivations, not in the all crops itself. It's very important, as you know, there's a vertical farming system, particularly urban and peri-urban area, and most probably some of the vegetables like lettuce and other things like leafy vegetables, which is now going up in a very large scale, and that also we have to take in the large scale in the vegetable farming system. Grafting is another important thing, so I have to immediately take up, which is I think TNU has done a lot of works in the grafting in the vegetable department, but I think we have to very much aggressive. We have to go for this particular grafting methodology, because if you see in the China, if you go for Japan, about 80-90% they are the grafting. They have a very good grafting machine. We have in different universities they have, but I am sorry to say many of these are not utilized properly or very underutilized. I think we have to collaborate in this particular aspect, that which are the rootstock to be taken up for different purposes, whether for waterlogging condition, whether for drought condition, whether for disease, the particular for soil disease condition. So these things we have to, and we have to also screen the germplasms, particularly for the rootstock, which is very important, and that we have to take care. I think many of them cases like in case of brinjal rootstock is concerned, the people have worked with this one. Saline, those are resistant to saline water. Some are resistant to water stress conditions, also the waterlogging condition. So these things, as you mentioned, some of these lines are utilized by the different universities or the ICER institutes. We should come up in a collaboration way for the program. As I mentioned, the nutrition, the sustainable nutritional security is very important. How to build them, how to go for this one, how to go for nutrition rich vegetable varieties. So definitely we have to take up many things where we can have a different methodology or different way to go for these particular purposes. We have a different, as you know, the India is said to be as a bank, seed bank, or the of the vegetable underutilized vegetables and the fruit crops is concerned. We have about 135 vegetable seeds growing in different regions of the country. We have a vegetable land that says thousand germplasms or land races are there, which is not utilized properly. So these things you have to go for, whether these are being nutrient rich. If nutrient rich, whether you have to go for improvement of this particular variety in the underutilized variety. So these are the questions you have to take it. And the second way is that some of the crops where we have a very limited scope for this one, because they have a anti-nutritional factors, which is again a very important for all of us. When you go for breeding of the varieties in the different underutilized varieties or crops or vegetables, you must have to check the anti-nutritional factors, which is very, otherwise you have allergic, you have some other things will come up in your health, which is ruin or destruct your health system is concerned. You have a nutrition enhancement system. We have to use the conventional, like the genetic engineering or the biotechnological tools, genotype with the higher nutritions, make them cultivations, distributions in the channel, and also you have to also see that the health improvement through the clinical assessment. Sometimes the people says that bitter gourd having the anti-diabetic properties, and they can just consume in the bitter gourd, but how much you should consume a day, how much you should take the tablets of this bitter gourd powder per day. So these things are not clinically proven. Even if there are activities, ingredients is been proven, but how much you should take, what is the prescriptions of these particular traits or particular crops to be done in the capsule or the grind form, that also we have to take up when you go for the clinical assessment of all this material. Those are we are using for pharmaceutical purposes or nutraceutical purposes. So these things we have to strategy to be changed, particularly for nutrient or nutraceutical rich varieties, which is very important. As I mentioned in the beginning, what you need, what is need of the seed industry, what is they want to have. So that type of feedback you should get for the farmers or the consumers, then to the seed industry. Seed industry to have a better way to go for methods for economize the F1 hybrid seed productions, which I discussed, and then purity test, the protection of the female parent. So these are the things where we have to have some of the things to be done very quickly, so that the farmers can be benefited to get rid of this high amount of the cost of the vegetables, seeds particularly. So this is very important. As I mentioned of the processing industry, we have a very good programs in the processing, because earlier we discussed about this one in the last 1 year back in the National Academy of Agriculture Science. We have discussed how much of varieties we have, which are the hybrids we have having the processing value in tomato. But surprised to say, only there is not a single varieties which can be utilized for this tomato for processing. We don't have such type of varieties. The quality which is required for this particular, the TSS, the lycopene content, the acidity, the viscosity, which is very important, particularly for the tomato industry is concerned. But very few vegetable tomato hybrids or vegetable varieties are available in the country having this type of traits. Now we are looking for. Now we are developing for. So I think definitely we have to think of all the things when you go for in the breeding programs, or in the for the research program and the nutritional security of this particular vegetables. Now we have a lot of bioactive compounds, as I told, the industrial use. People are thinking about this carotene rich, that is the anthocyanin rich black carrot in case of the carrot, where they have to also go for developing the process for the anthocyanin production in case of black carrot, and they take it the concentrate of the anthocyanin, which can be exported to the different other countries, including Canada. Sometimes we have to also oleogens, capsaicinoids, carotenoids, and capsaicinoids. So these are some of the nutraceuticals, or what you can say, which is very important, particularly for the industrial point of view. I think we must have to have breed such type of things in the future is concerned. Breeding the vegetable for the nutraceutical or nutrition, these are the things where you have to go for vitamins, organic acids, proteins, lipids, carbohydrates, and dietary fiber. So these are the many things we have to, at least in the vegetables you can get it, but how much the richer we can do it with these nutraceuticals or the nutrition. So that production strategy, that breeding strategy, that protection strategy or management strategies is required for our program. So I just to have the consolidate my work, the speech or the lecture, that we have already think of many things. We have done in many things in the past itself, but as I mentioned, we have already done the tremendous in the improvement of vegetable crops is concerned throughout the country itself, throughout the world itself. We have a varieties of the hybrids, which is about 40-60% of the total area is concerned is taken care of by the many. We have a independent contributions to the as a mixed contribution, collaborative contributions, as well as the independent contributions by the different state agriculture universities and ICER Institute to give you the best position. I think now this is time we have to reorient our programs to have a more collaborative, to have more scientific base, to have a more interactive way of this one to for the production system is concerned, whether it's a breeding, whether it's a management, that you have to take care of. Now we have a program to be supply driven to demand driven. That is very important. What we have already mentioned, we are just going for the yield traits. The yield was now this is not a question. The demand you have to take in from the feedback from the farmers, from the industry, from the private partners. That thing we have to go for our research program to be oriented. We have to have a crop system to food system approach. So that is very important. What type of fruits you need, what type of fruits is required by these people or the customers, the consumers. You have to also think of that. We have to the changing in the weather condition, changing in the system and the different regional specific food system. We have to also approach our strategy, or we have to change our strategy in that particular way. As you mentioned, the farm to fork is very important that time. Now we are concentrating to fork to farm. That means to consumers where you eat, and then you take the feedback what the people should want to go for eating of vegetables or taking their meals from the vegetables. So that again you have to go for the farms and the research laboratory, which is very, very important for our program. We have to re-enter this one. Yield maximization to income maximization. As I mentioned, they are not only the yield, you have to go for the quality, you have to go for the enrichment in the nutraceutical or nutrient enriched varieties, which can also, as you mentioned, that definitely to go for the more income generation or maximization of the more income. That also nowadays we are talking about the carbon negative to the carbon positive farming, which is very much important, as you mentioned in some of the things like organic farming, natural farming. Now we are considering, and most of the crops is go also, particular vegetables. If you go see the cabbage, also see the garden pea, these are very, very good for the natural farming. And there is no need of pesticides or any other things or way to go for. But it's not that all the crops can be grown for the organic farming or can be grown in case of natural farming. We have to be selective. We have to be selective for the respect to the varieties. Those are very much good for the organic farming or the natural farming. So this, and to enriching the soil condition, the carbon content of the soil. So these are the very important, that some of the vegetables we have to study of this type of activities, so that the basic research can give us a work on that what type of positive form, carbon positive farming we can take up in the future. The climate sensitive to climate resilient agriculture, which is very important. The periods where we have a number of days for the spell for the drought conditions, number of days for the winter conditions, the lesser the different lot of resilience are coming up nowadays. The pest resilience, which is very, very important again with respect to the climate change, and that type of things we have to also breed, or we have to management practices to be changed in the vegetables crops itself. And then you have to go for discovery to delivery system. It is not that just to go for discovery of the system, but again you have to deliver the things. That means you have to make a awareness among the persons, awareness among the consumers, that whatever the research, the materials of the products you got it, how much it is benefit to the consumers, how much it is benefit in the market. So that sort of focus should be again upgraded in our system of approach, and that is very, very important. Public funded to private participation, which we are talking about PPP model, but I don't think, very, very few area where we have succeeded in this case. Vegetable, I don't think we are practiced. Only we are doing some licensing of our varieties, giving to the private, and they are selling and they're getting profit out of it. But how much we are there? Whether we have a trust with us, with the public funded programs, with the private participation. So that trust we have to build up with all of us. I think all the breeders, all the stakeholders, those that are working in the vegetable, must rethink our own strategy, own programs, so that including the students, we must to say that we have to have a brainstorming session with including the students. What way we can improve our own system of research with respect to both PPP and in the PPP mode, that also we have to take into consideration. I think these are some of the things where I mentioned that the role of research, the research for a prioritization in the Indian system, so that the vegetable in the nutritional security can play a important role. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, all of you, for the patient hearing. I think I just deliver some of the things for the benefits of the students and the other people is concerned. Thank you, Dr. Thank you,
Thank,
all
thank
of
you,
you.
sir.
And I must thank to TNU just giving me the opportunity to have this one more the presentations in the form that the students and the other faculties and the people can be benefited. So I think, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, Dr. Begara. So, on behalf of TNIU and our scientific fraternity, so I express my sincere thanks to you. Done an excellent with regard to vegetable sciences, particularly the entire galaxy of vegetable breeding. I tell the word, the galaxy of vegetable breeding, we are quoting the one single lecture today. So you are not, this is exhausting your lecture, sir. We know that you are caliber. Then your lecture is highly understandable manner for our technocrat and scientists. Thank you very much. Then definitely your lecture is useful for our students, for those who are doing MSc and PhD studies. Those who are studying now, they're done in future also. Um, the lecture may be highly reevaluated for future program. in our university as well as scientific intervention in future. We know your station network program with horticulture, particularly the building of cauliflower, broccoli, and tomato. Then very particularly about cucurbitaceous vegetables. That is, you delivered that your scientific expression today. Early and resistant with respect to climatic resilient and marker resistant varieties of tomato and all. So really appreciated, sir, your presentation. Then regarding the high-tech horticultural smart farming, water budgeting, and integrated nutrient management, and very interestingly noting that your rootstock studies pertaining to tomato and potato is very interesting, sir. This is very important for our future studies pertaining to urban horticulture also. So very interesting, sir. Then regarding your crop improvement strategies, so very keen interest on genetic editing, gene editing, as well as genetic manipulation. Then protected horticulture and smart vertical farming also very nicely presented. Then totally any horticultural, particularly vegetable sciences is concerned, seed industries and processing industry is very important. For that, you clearly indicated that what are the seed industries need for our country. That's very important. Then ultimately, sir, your today's lecture up to nanotechnology interventions, particularly our strength of horticulture in vegetable sciences, plant genetic resources. So you have more of plant genetic resources in your station. You are the role model, sir. I simply say that you are the role model for vegetables. We wish you that we expect more result of vegetable sciences, particularly release of varieties in future. On behalf of TNU, sir, we express our sincere thanks. Before we'll talk thanks, sir, when I call for some questions, sir. Before one thing, sir, for your entire talk, something we expect. You earlier talked that nutraceutical point of view and nutrition point of view. Um, then what about the organic production protocol when we see the nutritional point of view? So far you've taken a lot of things except organic production protocol. So because nutrition as well as per capita consumption of vegetable is very important. So that's why I'm asking. Any scientific studies you are going on in IAV or Varanasi, or
Yeah.
any future? What is your advice on organic protocol in vegetables?
Yeah. So can I respond or somebody has other questions on that? I can respond. Can I
Response.
respond? Yeah.
Yeah, please respond.
Important. It's an important question now. As you know, that most of the cases we are also having the questions in the different levels. That in the ministerial level also, how much you are having the research prioritization in organic farming and the natural farming. It's a question so everywhere. But as I mentioned in some of the things last 2 years, so we have about 2 acres of land. We are just devoted for this organic farming and the natural farming. But one thing, as I mentioned, that we should also see that in the natural farming or the organic farming, what we are doing, the protocol is not being set up properly. Till today, we don't have a proper protocol that whether which one is organic, whatever to go for the natural farming. But based on this, some of these the reports coming up in every time as the natural farming and the organic farming, we practice some of the things. But for your surprise, you can see that many of the response of the crop is different. The vegetable crops itself, I can say very few of them are good for natural farming, and among them also some of the vegetables also good for organic farming, because the load of these particularly for the pests and diseases and the climate changes is really havoc to the growing for this organic and the natural farming, because many times we are just going for organic farming in case of your many of the crops and different season. Suppose you can grow the brinjal or the tomato in the rabi season, that type of things, and can go for the off season, definitely there is changes of a lot of climatic conditions concerned, and that is very, very difficult for the organic farming. But in the natural substances, if you go for some of the natural farming, I think like as I mentioned, the cabbage is very responsive for the natural farming or organic farming. The garden pea is very much responsive to this organic farming. The variety itself, I have seen in case of bottle gourd, in case of tomato in our center, definitely the varieties also, those are resistant lines to the different insect pests and diseases. And also the conditions where there is a less used by input used by some of the varieties. They are very good for this particular way, because you have to give the feeding to the plant itself. So those are nutrient efficient varieties of the crops where you can also have, as you mentioned, of the some of the example, which is good for that one. So this is the as regard to the crops and the variety. If you say the health, soil health conditions, I think organic farming and natural farming is tremendous improvement. We have seen our own conditions here. Here we have just put it the things with the organic, particularly organic the soil organic content. The soil organic content, the carbon content is definitely increasing very, very high. And another way is the microbial population. This is also very important because of this protective to the crop, to the soil, and their enrichment is very, very high when you go for organic versus inorganic system. So I think these studies are going on. We have a 2 years of experience in this particular field here in IIVR. I think many people have started doing some of the some of the works in this organic farming and natural farming. But as you mentioned, we have to have a collaborative way to develop more way of scientific. What is the benefits? Where the benefits? Where you can go for? So these things again, a lot of questions are there. Third important is the organic certifications, which is not till today is regularized by the many of the state universities, state department. So that also organic certification, the farmers are even if they produce the organic, how much cost they are involving at the cost of the production, then the way they are going to the market. So these types again we have to think of, and I think on that these 3 4 5 things we have to take into consideration when you go for organic farming or the procedure for developing the organic farming in case of vegetable. So this is at least another 4 4 5 years is required to have a concrete decisions on organic or natural farming in vegetables. Thank you, Dr.
Very good, Dr. Behra. I am Venkatesan, previously working in Muskimilan in vegetable department. So in carotenoid rich Muskimilan types like Kasi Madhu, any other additional work, but you are find out of some trellis in the wine type in polyhouse cultivation. Any alternate system for carotene rich germplasm for diversification in our condition, Tamil Nadu condition?
Yes, we have to take up some of the programs like as you mentioned, carotene rich in can pumpkin. I think in TNU also, so your work is also done by some of the scientists there, particularly for carotene. I think Dr. Saraswati, somebody was working. So that we have to also take up of these carotene rich crops, particularly muskmelon as you mentioned. Then you mentioned pumpkin. It's very important crops. So here you can also go for these carotene rich. Also, we have some diversification, diversified, what you can say, the genetic diversity exists in some of the vegetables for the carotene rich type. We have to take care of all the things. I think except Kasi Madhu, we didn't find good material, but we are again going for a new materials to come up, or we are taking it from the outside for this particular purpose through the NBP. You can also plan for that one to get it some of the muskmelon from the outside, which are of carotene rich varieties, and that also you can take up. In tomato, we have already started with processing varieties. We have taken the materials from USA and VRDC, about 49 varieties we have taken, but they are not genetically superior. So we are introducing these materials to our own this thing. So that I think again another important thing I mentioned here. Very few of the breeder is working in vegetables. They must have a concentrate on that one. How much contributions we can go for our breeding of or improvement of this one. I think there are tremendous potential in the germplasm. We have in the NVPGR Many of the germplasms of different rate, but they are not having properly screened. So whether we have that type of things to be done, to be in the future, I think we can take up. We have some agrobiodiversity project where you are including tomato, and also TNU is one of them, particularly for nematode resistant. I put intentionally for TNU to have this agrobiodiversity crops to be there, grown there, and they must see that which are the traits which is very important for their purpose. So I think we can take up one by one. In tomato we have taken, in cucumber we have taken for resistance. I think that sort of things we can initiate ourselves to have some of the funding from different sources. I think you can do it. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Students.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah.
Myself, Abhinaya. I'm from Department of Seed Science and Technology, currently pursuing a PhD. So my question is, what is your opinion on introduction of GM technology in vegetable crops, sir?
GM technology, yes. As you know, that this is in the, now a lot of issues are coming, and the GM technology, particular brinjal, you might be knowing in the vegetable. So why not we are going for this particular, for the gene editing? Gene editing is much more better than that of the transgenics or what we have. So many of the crops we can directly go for gene editing where the genes already characterized. Many of the vegetables gene is already characterized, and they are not in the there is no ethical issues, not a problem in this particular space. Government has already been sanctioned for these gene editing crops. So I think we must reorientate the program, not go for transgenic, because transgenic, there are a lot of issues are coming. There is a lot of discussion for the last 20 years were going on, but still we are not in this particular the final conclusion. So you leave it this one. This for the academic senses you can go for transgenic, but if you see this applicability sense, you go for directly for the genome editing or gene editing. I think that will be better choice for all of us. Yes, we must go for gene editing rather than go for transgenic. Please.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Questions from student side? Chendare Perikulam.
Morning, sir. I'm M. Kabilan, second PhD in Vegetable Science from Hatchendare Periculum campus. Sir, you explained what are the research activities carried at IIVR Varanasi. Sir, any transgenic research currently ongoing on IIVR, sir? For yield, quality, pest and disease resistant, nutrient enhancement, for the shelf life improvement. Currently,
Yeah.
sir?
Just I mentioned, just immediately of this question, the answer is that please, we are doing transgenic. We are doing transgenic still in the different background of brinjal. Already you did it, and then it is in our in just we are maintaining the transgenic lines. We have also started some of the work in case of okra and the transgenic, also tomato. But I don't think we are carrying so much of this thing. As you mentioned, these are for academic point of view. But we started work on genome and gene editing. So gene editing is much more acceptable to the farmers, to the society, to the country. So instead of going for this particular for transgenic, as I mentioned in the tomato processing, there is genes are available with us which can also be which are already characterized, and we started doing work on that one, particularly for gene editing, not transgenic. So transgenic we have here.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, myself are Divya sir from Agricultural Economics Department, sir. Currently, I'm doing masters and I'm doing my thesis work on sugar precision in vegetable research, sir. Could you please provide your inputs on factors determining the varietal or hybrid development, sir, by both public and private R&D?
Which crop you are working? As soon as I
I'm
could.
made brinjal and onion, sir.
Brinjal and onion. You are doing what? What you're doing? Hybrid
Uh,
development.
constraints to high productivity and prioritization of research in vegetables, sir, on these three crops.
She
Okay.
needs some strategy, action plan, and future plan for marketing point of view in vegetables,
Okay.
particularly onion and
Tomato and
brinjal.
Okay. So the important point as you mentioned about this crop, which is very important crop in the world as well as in India, like onion and then tomato and brinjal. So as I mentioned that the major problem with the farmers, what is the cost of productions in this particular crop, and starting from the seed availability and the seed value till the marketing, this is really important for this particular crop. The more important thing is that seed cost. So the farmers, those are getting the seed from the private organization, they're huge. They're ranging from 30,000 to 1 lakh or 60,000 per kg of tomato or brinjal seeds. So how much you monopoly of the farmers, the private companies, again, you have to take up. You have to have this type of things in the farmer system. The farmers are also getting if you see just example I'm seeing, the farmers are getting the seeds, the inputs, along with they are getting the fertilizer, along with they are also getting the pesticide from the private industry, because they are selling these are the things which is free for you if you buy the seeds from us. So this type of misunderstanding of this, and they are not knowing about the particular hybrids of the variety. So here the point is that farmers once get it and all the materials in the free, and they say once you produce this one and go for marketing, and that time I will take the seed cost. But the cost of the seed is that time was huge cost. So I mentioned these things. These are because of the economics point of view. Also, you should take up the things in the social responsibility. How much the society or other people are being just treated by someone. These are not my any here to the private company, but still this is the practice is going on, and that should have also to take into consideration. Then regarding onion and other hybrids, the way of developing the hybrids is really is not cost effective, which you have to also take up. The production management system also we have to also create ourselves. Traditional area and non-traditional area where we have to grow for the vegetables is very important. We are now going for some of the vegetables, particularly tomato and onion, to the non-traditional area also. So that again is a problem for other crops to be for that particular area. So these are some of the things that are coming up in the future. We have to tackle up. We have to think of these things, whether it will go or it is having bad impact on the vegetable production system. We have to take into consideration also. And as you mentioned, the climate resilient and other things, which is very, very important for the hybrid seed production, hybrid development, and hybrid crop development, crop production, which is very, very important for all of us.
So good afternoon, sir. I'm Dr. Beulah from Periakulam College, sir.
Yeah.
Most of the farmers here, they grow cucumber inside polyhouse. Mostly the problem they face is excess, N excess, P excess, and toxicity symptoms. So they grow this Red multi-star variety, whether any rootstock, either pumpkin or any other rootstock, will we can do grafting, so that any studies are going on at IAVR, so that we can recommend to the farmers to avoid this toxicity problem.
Which hybrid they are for which one they are using?
Multi-star, sir. Multi-star.
What is the problem they are having? What they are saying?
Excess, sir. Toxicity. New N excess, P excess.
Now, what toxicity they have? What toxicity they have?
Like so fertilizer toxicity, sir, because they apply frequently, they fertigate the plants. No, continuously they fertigate the plants. So microbial load is not there in the soil. So I've visited certain polyhouses. So toxicity is a major problem. Whether we can recommend grafted plants or any rootstock. Pumpkin is the best rootstock.
Okay. I could understand. Actually, we don't have such type of now work is going on here. But okay, so that if that is the case of this particular variety, but what about the other hybrids or other variety? I don't know. But definitely, as you say, that the use or the absorption of the particular fertilizer or the nutrients, which gives the toxicity of this particular way. So definitely it is not there, but we'll definitely go and study. If you have something or some symptoms are there, you can show us the pictures, you can send it to us. And which are the nutrients and how much toxicity definitely will take up the things, and uptake of these nutrients, which is very high in the cucumber, that also will take up. So you just say or share things, particularly the symptoms of this particular toxicity and which are for what purpose. I'll take care. Okay. Could you understand? Yes. Hello.
Dr. Bila?
Hello. Oh, is
Yes,
it
sir.
now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So you send us the information. I'll
Okay,
see.
sir.
We can do.
They themselves manage with microbial population. Then they apply a lot of organic manures, but they ask us whether any rootstock will be there or any studies are going on at different centers so that some toxicity may be reduced. No, sir. So like pumpkin, we tried. So it's a better rootstock for multi-star or cucumber. Uh, so whether that can be recommended to commercial farmers, cultivating farmers, cucumber cultivating farmers.
Okay. So
Okay.
better you just, if you have some materials or rootstock, we can also try from here also. If some are
Okay.
good, we will take you for the networking project, our ECRIP. So we can also try for that. Yes.
Okay. Okay, sir. Okay. Okay.
You can give your suggestions to the mail. You can send me the email. Okay.
Thank you, sir, for your very good suggestion that it will be taken care of. I am Professor Janavi. We have conducted the different varieties of cucumber released by the institutes of India, that is like IRI and other institutes. We have collected both from north and south, and one PG students could take up a study in Polyhouse, and really everything performed very well. And the Japanese long green and other varieties, everything. He tried around 10 varieties. Everything performed well. Maybe these are all the hybrids of the private companies which are export in the export market. Maybe we can also recommend our varieties, institute released varieties to the farmers. We'll think of it, sir. That also can be a good. We didn't face any toxicity in our campus when the student made the study. So maybe we can promote our varieties instead of the private varieties. I hope. Anyway, thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
No, what we can do, Dr. Janvi, what we are thinking. This time, if you have a separate program, we are going for the ECRIP trials, for varieties for the protected cultivation. Okay. So to be released for this particular way, we have to go for protected cultivation, so that if you have any materials or good materials to be contributed for this particular trials, you can contribute that one, so that it cannot be only released for the Tamil Nadu, but it can also be released for the other states is concerned, the particular zone is concerned. If you have a good materials, we can also share our materials. Also, we are taking about 5 to 10 centers, particular for this particular purpose, particular for protected cultivations, and we are
Yes.
searching for that. You can also contribute that one. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. We'll take in that.
Good evening, sir. Myself, Selvarani from Department of Seeds and Technology. Nowadays, among many pollutants, microplastics is gaining more spotlight. The usage of plastic mulching for the past 30 years is one of the major reasons for release of microplastics in the cultivable land. Now, my question is, how do farmers mitigate the impact of microplastics while still benefiting from the usage of plastic mulching?
Yes, that is a good options we have to take care, because nowadays, as I mentioned, and as I mentioned, these are very important things also, particularly for those who are growing different crops in the using the plastic mulches. I example given that when we are in working in the US, we have a program of 10 hectares of this mulching. But there is an accommodation by the government department. If you have doing the researching on this plastics, at least that plastic should be removed. Not a single, even 1 centimeter of plastic if in the field, you will find $10. But that type of things also required. It is a very important if you go for plastic. It's concerned in India, we don't have a good regulatory system. So as you mentioned that you have microplastics and other film where we can also use. Also, we can go for organic mulches. I think also we can take up as a best alternative for plastic mulches. So these things also we have to taken care for the programs in the future, and farmers also to be educated that what type of plastics or what type of organic mulches are the mulches we should take care. If you see the straw mulches is very good for the either turmeric and other crops. Other you can also have some other mulches which is very organic. But another important problem is that some of the mulches also, suppose grass mulches people are taking, they are also invading the weeds also. So that sort of things also we have to take up. And in the future, I think we have to more and more think of about organic mulches or microplastics or reusable, biodegradable, degradable mulches, which is very essential. And that sort of things also we have to think of when you go for mulching.
So now I request Dr. C. Muthaya, Professor and Head, Department of Plant Protection, HE&RA Perigulam, to propose vote of thanks.
Respected Dean SPGS TNA Coimbatore, respected Dean Horticulture College and Research Institute Perigulam, respected Dean HE&RA Coimbatore, and the other faculty members from TNAU. Good evening to one and all. So I would like to, at the outset, I would like to thank Dr. Behraji for his outstanding endowment lecture on vegetable research in India for sustainable food and nutritional security, which was proposed by Horticulture College and Research Institute Perigulam, and it is organized with jointly with Dean SPGS TNA Coimbatore. And Dr. Behraji has given an elaborate the elaborate lecture on the vegetable research, particularly the global level production and utilization of the vegetables, and the utilization of the particularly the untapped plant genetic resources which can be used for the vegetable research, and more so in the the genetics. Gene editing is one of the recent technique which I could hear it from you, sir. Instead of going for transgenic, I think this will pave a way for very good vegetable breeding in our country. As well as I also thank the students from the different campuses, as well as from the undergraduate, postgraduate students. Particularly your speech, your lecture will be very much useful for the postgraduate and doctorate students for their future research program, which will be immensely useful to our students. Thank you once again, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you, one and all.